All right, guys, welcome to the show. I got a giant one for you. So in just a second, Trump assembles the worst cabinet in American history. I'll back that claim up for you. We have the lie has finally been exposed. Remember when Trump was pretending to have nothing to do with Project 2025? Well, turns out that's wrong. We'll get to Bill Clinton breaking his silence after Kamala's loss. Remember, he was on the campaign trail for her for a while. We have MAGA threatening all-out war against the International Criminal Court to fight on behalf of Israel. We have Bill Maher scolding Democrats to shut up and accept MAGA blowhards for the holiday season. We have Sam Harris dropping a nuke on Elon Musk's head. And we have, there's a Republican senator who has, believe it or not, turned on Trump relatively quickly on a very particular issue. So we'll talk about that and more. You guys know the drill. Everybody, please do me a big favor. Please click like and subscribe. Click that bell icon so you get a notification every time a video drops. And a big thank you to everybody who supports this show on Patreon or tips on YouTube with the thanks button. Could not do it without you guys, man. Could not do it without you guys. Oh, and by the way, sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends. We're going to have a really interesting interview this week. We're going to be talking to Ro Khanna, Democratic congressman, to see his lessons of Kamala's loss. And that should be fascinating. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into it. So, as I stated, Donald Trump has by far and away picked the single worst cabinet in U.S. history, rivaled only by Donald Trump's 2016 cabinet, which was jam-packed full of more billionaires and Wall Street executives than any other cabinet in history. Where's your working class hero at? So, let's take a look at this. Breaking. President-elect Donald Trump says he will nominate Scott Bessent, former George Soros money manager, to lead the Treasury Department. This is something, if I had scripted this, you would say, come on, man. This is too absurd. A Republican would never pick a former George Soros money manager when George Soros to them is the root of all evil. So Ben Norton says, billionaire Donald Trump is draining the swamp by filling his cabinet with neocon warhawks and Wall Street oligarchs. His Treasury Secretary pick is billionaire hedge fund manager Scott Bessent, who worked for Democrat-aligned billionaire George Soros. The U.S. is an oligarchy. Now, this is just one pick that we're discussing here, but the rot goes a lot deeper. So as Ben Norton lays out for us, here's Trump's cabinet. Scott Bessent, billionaire. Elon Musk for Doge, billionaire. Vivek Ramaswamy, billionaire. Marco Rubio, neocon hawk. Mike Waltz, neocon hawk. Pete Hegseth, neocon hawk. Pam Bondi, Amazon lobbyist. More on her in a little bit, by the way. Susie Wiles, corporate lobbyist. Chris Wright, CEO of Oil and Gas Corporation. So again, the most corrupt administration in history. And guess what, guys? This administration will absolutely have class solidarity. Don't get it twisted. You're going to witness class solidarity firsthand. But it's solidarity for the 1% against the working people. All right, more. The Surgeon General pick. Oh boy. So this was a relatively conventional pick in the sense that any of a number of different presidents could have picked this person, right? But, as you all know, MAGAville online is deeply anti-vaccine now. They're deeply anti-masking during a pandemic. They're incredibly skeptical, not only of the profit margins of Big Pharma, but of, like, the medicine that Big Pharma provides. So there's this real anti-science movement and movement towards, like, alternative medicine, right? Which is just crackpot snake oil. And Trump picked somebody who actually agrees with the conventional mainstream positions on this. So look at this. Boo. Trump fans say they are disheartened after he gives a slap in the face to MAGA. Donald Trump made an announcement about his upcoming administration, and his biggest fans are not happy about it. Trump said on Friday that he had chosen Dr. Janet Nishawat, a physician and Fox News medical contributor. By the way, that's why this person was picked. He sees her on TV, and he's made a lot of TV picks. He also wants Dr. Oz for something. He's got Pete Hegseth, Dr. Oz. Okay, here we go. As his Surgeon General. She also serves as a medical director at CityMD, a network of urgent care centers in New York and New Jersey, according to Politico's reporting. Dr. Nishawat is a fierce advocate and strong communicator for preventive medicine and public health, Trump said on Friday in a statement on his Truth Social platform. She is committed to ensuring that Americans have access to affordable, quality health care and believes in empowering individuals to take charge of their health to live longer, healthier lives. The pick did not go over well with Trump's base. You're about to find out why that is. Blue Army 24, who frequently posts in favor of Trump on Truth Social, responded on the site with a letter from the base. Quote, "Dear President Trump, many of us are very disheartened and upset about this pick. This doctor has been a major advocate for pushing COVID vaccines upon people which are being proven to cause much harm." Let me pause for a second. So in other words, if Trump picked anybody who was in favor of the COVID vaccine, they would be flipping out. Hey, look, on the bright side, at least we found an area where they're actually willing to say, I disagree with Donald Trump. Because usually they're sniffing his taint and coddling his ballsack and agreeing with absolutely everything he ever says and does. So I guess that's the silver lining, right? The silver lining is like, oh, look, we found an area where they actually disagree with him. But having said that, they're wrong. And he's right. Remember, it's Trump who gave us Operation Warp Speed, which gave us the vaccine. So Trump always wanted to take credit for the vaccine, but his base is so psychotic that he sort of backed off of it. Well, now his pick is a conventional pick, pro-vaccine, and his audience wants another version of RFK Jr. His audience wants somebody from the deep bench of anti-vaxxers that RFK is buddy-buddy with. That's who they want. All right, this person continues. She also was a big advocate of masking and other terrible COVID policies. Please don't let this happen. Sincerely, your base. Oh, she wanted people to wear a mask during a worldwide pandemic. Disgusting. Oh my God, this is amazing. A user with the ID, I stand with Trump, also responded to the president-elect saying, boo, she advocates for the clot shot. Bring the Surgeon General from Florida into this position, the user added. Inked Cat Lady, a self-identified conservative who comments favorably about Trump on Truth Social, characterized the pick as a deal breaker. Of all the things to say, this is a deal breaker about Trump, they picked him having a Surgeon General who's okay with vaccines. Oh my God. She's pro-masking. Deal breaker for me, the user wrote in response to Trump's announcement for the choice for Surgeon General. Salty Pretzel, who shares pro-Trump content on Truth Social, also appeared outraged. Are you out of your mind? We lost everything for refusing COVID vax, and you picked this pro-vaxxer? What a slap in the face this is to MAGA, they wrote. Again, guys, he gave us Operation Warp Speed, which gave us the vaccines. I know that, these people also hate lockdowns. Well, guess who the lockdowns occurred under? Trump chastised Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, because Brian Kemp wanted to open up Georgia early, and Trump was like, we need more time. And so he was basically prodding him to keep Georgia shut down for longer. Are you guys just pretending like Trump was not pro-vaccine and was not pro-lockdowns? Because he was. I guess they memory hold that, and now this reminds them of that, but I don't know. They're so weird, man. Craig M. Wax, a family physician who supports Robert F. Kennedy Jr., said Trump is making a colossal mistake with Dr. Jeanette Nihawat as Surgeon General. She was She was a genetic vaccine zealot. Yeah, 99.9% of doctors are going to be vaccine zealots because vaccines save lives. You absolute freaks. Okay, so that was the first freak out for MAGA, and it was over one of the most reasonable picks from Trump, at least in the sense that this person is not a complete and utter crank, right? There was one other pick which was positive, and we'll talk more about that later. All right, here we go. More. Alex Wong, newly named Deputy National Security Advisor to Trump. This is that person's career trajectory. You ready? 2007 to 2009. Bush State Department Advisor for Iraq. 2012. Foreign Policy Director for the Romney-Ryan campaign. 2015 to 17. Foreign Policy Advisor for Senator Tom Cotton. That guy is the neocon's neocon. He's as neocon as they get. 2017 to 2021. Deputy Assistant Secretary in the Trump-Pompeo State Department. 2021 to 2024, Hudson Institute. So, in other words, if you were expecting anti-war Trump to finally show himself, it's not happening. It's neocon all day, every day, baby. As the other picks have also proven. All right, more. Here's Pete Hegseth, who, remember, this is who Trump wants for defense secretary. Listen to what he says about a bygone era that he thinks was better. Ready? Here we go.
I know in my own, even in 2005, 2006, ROE, it was incredibly arduous toward the idea of absolutely decimating our military. So as a result, it feels like the wars keep going and keep going, because we're not doing what we did in Japan. We did that then because we had barrel-chested men saying we're going to win this war. And now we've got a lot of lawyers out there saying,
Is this a military problem or a society problem? Because
I think it's both.
We do not have the appetite. The American population does not have the appetite to understand what it means to win a war.
I don't think Mark Milley has an appetite to win a war.
So in other words, he is looking back through rose-colored glasses at nuking Hiroshima and Nagasaki and implying, hey, these days, if we want to win a war, we should probably start nuking people. Jesus Christ. All right, I got more for you. Here we go. This is him in 2017.
And what will annihilate North Korea after we're dead?
Yeah,
I mean, we have to do something now.
There's merit in a preemptive strike.
There's merit in a preemptive strike of North Korea. By the way, just to be clear, this was the one bright spot of Trump's foreign policy. He did escalation everywhere. He did more drone strikes everywhere. He did hawkishness everywhere. He ripped up the Iran agreement. The one bright spot of his foreign policy was that he met Kim Jong-un and tried to de-escalate, which, by the way, also proves Trump has zero consistency because he wanted to rip up the Iran nuclear agreement, which was built through diplomacy. So he's against diplomacy there, but he's for diplomacy when it comes to North Korea. Why? Because he's just defining himself as, I'm the opposite of whatever Obama did. So Obama didn't meet with Kim Jong-un, therefore I'm going to meet with Kim Jong-un. So there's no logical consistency. But here's Pete Hegseth saying, yeah, preemptive strike, that's a good idea. Jesus Christ, man. Jesus Christ. More. This is the reason that Hegseth has been nominated. Trump's Pentagon pick, Hegseth, wrote of U.S. military taking sides in a civil war. Defense Secretary Pick said in 2020 that should Democrats win the election, the military, quote, will be forced to make a choice. So, in other words, it looks like Hegseth is picked for the same reason that J.D. Vance is picked. Namely, you will be my subservient little bitch boy and never push back even 1%. So if I want to deploy the U.S. military in our own streets and invoke the Insurrection Act, he's going to allow that. He's going to be on board with that. All right, more. So now Pam Bondi. Matt Gaetz has officially taken his name out of consideration for Attorney General. And of course, the speculation is, Jesus, what other deep, dark secret is going to come to light for Matt Gaetz? I mean, this guy's got a million skeletons in his closet, and there's already multiple allegations of paid sex with 17-year-olds. And, you know, my speculation is that, remember when Madison Cawthorn told that story about being invited to an orgy? There's almost no doubt in my mind that it was Matt Gaetz who invited him to the orgy. Drug use, showing on the floor of Congress, taking out his cell phone and showing videos of him having sexual intercourse with somebody to fellow congresspeople who are kind of like, okay, why are you showing me this, bro? So that's who Matt Gaetz is. And Matt Gaetz took his name out of consideration. And again, it's probably because there's some other really deep, dark secret that was going to come to light that hadn't yet. And so, you know, he didn't want to deal with the headache of having all of his dirty laundry aired publicly. So Trump says, okay, I'll pick Pam Bondi for Attorney General. Who's Pam Bondi? No one shielded Jeffrey Epstein more than Pam Bondi. So she was the Attorney General in the state of Florida. Bondi is why Jeffrey Epstein was never prosecuted, and all the files about he and pedo bro Trump were sealed. Of course, Trump is going to reward her with the Attorney General position. Bondi is as corrupt as they come, which works out perfectly for a lifelong criminal like the loathsome piece of shit. So she helped protect Jeffrey Epstein. She helped protect Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, more. Here we go. Here's Pam Bondi and what she had to say about the pro-Palestine protests.
Pam, Democrats like Alan Dershowitz have sounded the alarm over the growing virulent strain of Jew haters in the Democrat Party. It appears their agents in the unfair press are carrying that water. It is dangerous, is it not?
Yeah, it's very dangerous, Chris. It's extremely dangerous. And, you look around, the thing that's really the most troubling to me, these students in universities in our country, whether they're here as Americans or if they're here on student visas, and they're out there saying, I support Hamas. You and I have seen that on all of these television shows. Frankly, they need to be taken out of our country, or the FBI needs to be interviewing them right away when they're saying, I support Hamas, I am Hamas. That's not saying I support all these poor Palestinians who are trapped in Gaza. That's not what they're saying. So I think their student visas need to be revoked. I think we need to reinstate President Trump's travel ban immediately. There's a lot of things that can be done to stop this. But yeah, the anti-Semitism that is rampant throughout this country now. And it's truly, truly heartbreaking to see what's happening to all of our Jewish friends in this country by really just, I think, a lot of ignorant kids and students and people who don't understand that Hamas equals terrorism, even worse, at its worst.
So in other words, smearing the pro-Palestine protests, outright saying that they're pro-Hamas, they're not just pro-Palestinian, and this would be the Attorney General who would have the power to use the law to crack down on free speech and free protest in this country. We already know all their dirty tricks. We already know what they're going to say. We already know what they're going to do. They're going to, say you're materially supporting terrorism by protesting in favor of Palestinians. She's talking about deporting people for being pro-Palestine and trying to have their voice heard. And Trump has promised this in the campaign season, right? We're going to deport pro-Palestine protesters. Outright said it. And what they do is they take the fringe examples, take the most extreme person in the movement, and define the entire movement by the most extreme. And this is why, remember, there was like some pro-Hamas graffiti on a statue when Netanyahu came to speak. And so then the whole protest was smeared as being pro-Hamas, when these are all people who are just calling for the end to the Israeli genocide in Gaza. And by the way, I would not be surprised if there are some what's called agent provocateurs involved in this, right? So you infiltrate the movement to make the movement look more extreme. You put pro-Hamas graffiti, and that gives the ideological and intellectual cover for the media and the politicians to just dismiss the whole movement as they're pro-Hamas, they're pro-terrorism, they're all a problem. Now let's use the power of the law to crack down on free speech and people who are just trying to end a genocide. So this is ugly. This is ugly. All right, more. Look at this. Florida Attorney General, again, that's Pam Bondi, sought donation before nixing Trump University fraud case. So in other words, Donald Trump knows, she plays ball. She plays ball. She was willing to not look at my university fraud if I would give her a donation. This is how the sausage is really made, y'all. This is how politics works. All right, more. Elon and Vivek are also, of course, going to be in Trump's government. They're going to do DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, and it's really a non-governmental organization where they're going to provide advice. And, they hope and think Trump will take that advice. I'm skeptical that he actually will, because if Trump were to listen to Elon and Vivek, his approval rating would collapse to like 20% because he would destroy the country. Okay, so look at this. Elon and Vivek are tripling down on wanting to completely eliminate veterans' medical care, NIH, cancer, stroke, and other biomedical research, the FBI, U.S. attorneys, and U.S. Marshals, Head Start, international narcotics control, funding to keep our drinking water safe. So they're talking about making $2 trillion worth of cuts. Well, in order to get $2 trillion in cuts, you need to basically take an axe to all of the non-Pentagon spending. We already know they don't want to cut the Pentagon. That's a given. Trump increased it every year last time he was in office. He's probably going to do the same this time around. So if you're going to leave the Pentagon alone, but you're going to make cuts, you're going to destroy the entire social safety net, or absolutely rout Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, right? That's the only way you can get the cuts. That's the only way. If you're not going to touch the Pentagon, which they're not, then it's all Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and then the social safety net. And so the cuts would be deeply unpopular, which is why it's good they're just in an advisory role and this isn't a real government agency. So, but we'll see if Trump actually listens to them to one extent or another. All right, so there you have it. This is the This is the Trump cabinet. Remember, his first cabinet had the most billionaires and Wall Street executives in history. I think this cabinet may break that cabinet's record. It's close, but I actually think this cabinet might be wealthier. And remember, guys, the whole point here is class solidarity. The billionaires are going to protect the interests of billionaires. The Wall Street executives are going to protect the interests of Wall Street. People like Vivek and Elon are going to slash the social safety net. And these guys are plutocrats. These guys are oligarchs. They want to enrich themselves through the government, but make it a ruthless, dog-eat-dog, laissez-faire capitalist system for you. It's the classic privatize the profits, socialize the losses. Like, is Elon going to say, hey, you know what? As part of my Doge report, cut off all support to all of my businesses? If you believe that, I have a bridge to sell you. It's going to be quite the opposite. Cut off all the money for regular people and give more to me and other oligarchs. So just prepare yourself. Just prepare yourself. Oh, final one. I forgot to mention this. There's one other pick, which is actually a good pick. But this person is without a doubt going to be handcuffed. For labor secretary, Trump went with Sean O'Brien's recommendation. Sean O'Brien is a union leader. And this is a Republican who's in favor of the PRO Act. So in favor of the pro-union bill. Now, let's call a spade here. That is a good pick. But the problem is, at the same time, they're picking a head of labor who is in favor of unionization. They are, on the other hand, and we'll do a story on this tomorrow, not only going to destroy the National Labor Relations Board and stack it with union busters, they're also trying to get rid of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which returned like $20 billion to Americans who were defrauded by big financial institutions. So it appears like this is an optics pick where, hey, here's somebody who's really pro-labor in this position, but they're going to handcuff them and make sure she can't do anything for workers. So, and if you think I'm wrong, well then, riddle me this. Why are 99% of the picks in the other direction? And then you get 1%. That's, an olive branch to Sean O'Brien, right? So I hope I'm wrong. And she gets to do some genuinely pro-labor things, but I highly, highly, highly doubt it. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.